Hey everybody, welcome to The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Then click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, save the planet, brainstorm, cooperate. Mob is also published at Bye Bye Blue Sky and other sites as well, so feel free to look online. Find me on the YouTube, find me at Podomatic. You can find me almost anywhere today. I'm a global phenomenon, I think. Something like that. Anyhow, I'm going to start off the show today with an email. I think you may find this interesting because I've been talking for a while about nano and the infiltration of our food supply and infiltration of all the things that we're dealing with and all the wonderful things that we are being hit with to alter our genetic code and our DNA. And I cannot emphasize enough how you need to protect your genetic code. Everything today can be a liability in regard to protecting your DNA, and I cannot emphasize that enough. We are dealing with such a advanced phenomena that has never been tested, never been looked at thoroughly, has been created, released to the general population, and has been allowed it to run its course in altering the very core of our existence as we know it. And the most dangerous thing I see on a planetary level is blockchain AI with the synthetic biology. I don't think anything is more detrimental to the very existence of mankind than this very concept that we are now being introduced to at a super rapid level, and how the global regimes of the planet today are running into it at a maddening pace. Basically, this is termination of a nation through machinations or technology. You know, the termination through machinations. This is what this is leading to. So I want to read something today, because some of you have this concept that we're living in. Everybody is talking about this stuff, talking about smart meters, talking about cell phone radiation, talking about EMS, ELFs, RFs, AM, FM. I'm always getting emails in, what do you got for tinnitus? And I keep telling everybody, you do not have tinnitus. A lot of you are transponders now. You are so loaded with metallic materials inside of your system through the nano absorption, through the food and the air you're breathing and the water you're drinking and even in the chemicals you're being exposed to, that you've got so much material in you, you're a walking, talking antenna. And these frequencies can get into your system and basically create anomalies within your biochemistry and into your brain receptors and the signaling pathways. So a lot of times these frequencies are coming from the inside out. They're coming from the inside out. So when you're looking at what is going on, you can't cure something you don't have. And you have to start looking at this correctly. You are, all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're hearing ringing of the ears. It's because it's taking you that long to pay attention to the frequencies that are being released and hitting you. Now, let's give you a situation. You're in a room and you're hearing a frequency. You're hearing a high pitch or a buzzing noise or a humming noise or a low hum or low pitch. And nobody else seems to be hearing it. That's because it's targeting you. It's coming from the inside out. You are the antenna that's resonating that frequency, and it's coming through you, and what you think you're hearing is what's resonating inside of you. You can't cure tinnitus because tinnitus never really existed. It's all been done through frequencies, through adjustments of frequencies and hitting your system. and you being loaded with contaminants in the body that could cause you to become a better receptor. A lot of times, I was talking to a fellow this week, he says when you adjust certain people, they no longer have that ringing of the ears. And there may be some misalignment going on that your body's trying to signal you, and that could be what also you're hearing. But for the most part, generally speaking, the majority of you do not have tinnitus. You will, and I can give you all the phosphorus you want to help remove the ringing of the ear. I can give you all the sunflower lecithin, the IP6, the bone meal that would regulate the hearing because of the phosphorus connection that's there. But if it's a frequency that you're hearing from the inside out, then you do not have tinnitus. And one way you could test that as well is by taking the things that are sulfur based, and if it still doesn't correct it, then you know it's coming from somewhere else. Alright, I want to get into this email, and I want to read this to you. I want you to get a perspective here of what we are dealing with. You have to understand, and this is going to affect a lot of you who have pets, because a lot of you having pets are having issues with your cats, your dogs, your horses, your cows, your goats, your sheep, your chickens, your ducks, your goose, you know, or whatever, or Bambi, deer, whatever you've got as a pet or as a farm animal, you are having issues going on, and this is going to give you some insight to what's happening. Now, this is coming out of Hawaii. Paradise. They used to call it Hawaii Paradise. Let me read this to you. Aloha, Tony. I have followed several of your videos recently, and I'm becoming even more awakened of the stuff happening everywhere. Got the hydroponic micro, and oh my, thank you for all you do. I see changes in the animals. They are suffering, having to live outdoors 24/7. Some are on hay because they are allergic to grass and founder. Horses are allergic to grass. Cows may have a grass allergies as well. This is why I'm reading this to you, for those of you who are farming. Had some beautiful looking bad hay come in and tanked 8 of my horses. I pulled 6 out with Chinese herds, but have some insulin, thyroid, Cushing's issues with 2 of them that foundered the worst. I also have a horse with chronic diarrhea, also gray, with melanomas that I'm currently treating, that I can't seem to restore her gut. Have tried it all. It seems, but would love any advice. Do you have any books or hard copies on the desk? I'd like something that's easy, so I wrote her back on something like that. Have you seen any water tests from Hawaii rain? We've been hammered over here. Think a bucket hoof soak would be okay for the horses. Thanks for all you do again. If you can get your animals into some kind of tub where you can put a triangle inside the tub and pulse them, this will go a long way in reducing a lot of this crap going on in your pets, whether it be a cat, dog, kangaroo, whatever you got. It'll make a big difference. Even, I would suggest you do this with the horse as well. Now, if you can rig up a system, let's say you got cows that go into like a pond, you know, or whatever. If you can put a triangle in that pond, a couple of them, and have that pulse, you might be surprised what might let go out of the skins of these animals. Now, I responded to her, says, have you tried an applesauce for the horse gut? She would definitely need gallons of this stuff. It would require a large amount, but it may salute the diarrhea issue. Get them on vinegar and iodine, Lugos and white vinegar, and in their water supply, because this will boost the immune system. And if there is any kind of biofilm or other type of pathology that might be there, this can help alleviate that. This will assist their immune response, and high amounts of MSM and ascorbic acid will go a long way as well. And I told her, I do have a flashlight, drive, blah, blah, blah. So then she wrote me back, pay attention to this part of the letter. Hi, Tony, you're the best. Thanks for replying. She is dosed with high MSM and has had apopectin in high doses, ACV, saw you don't like ACV, probiotics, digestive licorice root for the stomach, marshmallow root, and cyprium. This goes on. Didn't try the applesauce. How much do you think she would need? I mini microed the organic food here and the plants and trees. Mini microed is the 60x ocular she's talking about. Okay, so she went with the ocular and looked at the food here and the plants and the trees. It's all covered in nano. Unbelievable. We're talking Hawaii. We are talking Hawaii. Need to find a reliable place to test water. Hair samples on humans and horses all through the roof with aluminum. All through the roof with aluminum. Where is that coming from? Skin is glowing. I've had that myself. In the early stages when I got affected with nano poisoning, I had all kinds of blotches on my skin and it glowed as well. That's radiation from the sky. She said, want some paradise too? I'm determined to find the keys to unlock your symptoms. It's annoying to have horses that can't eat grass, and the imported hay is borderline too. Test from dairy, one came back, high sugar and molds, no good. Okay, pointing this out to those of you who are trying to be off-grid and trying to be organic. I stated to you before, organics do not exist. Anybody who's telling you that organics are still there obviously have no idea what's going on above. When you are dumping this synthetic biology and this and you're looking at all these other things that are going on today in regard to what we're being exposed to, then you have to kind of reevaluate this whole idea of organics. We cannot do anything. We cannot, in any way, shape, or form, look at things the way we used to. I keep saying that all the time. We are not in 2000. We're in 2018. We are not in 1970, 1960, 1950. Even during those times, they were dumping, harmful pesticides in the soil. 2-4-D was one, which was very highly reactive to the genetic code, causing high levels of birth defects. It's as if the whole system that we have across the planet has gone out of its way to destroy and attack mankind. The term mankind, and I use that because we are not human. I keep telling everybody, the last time I looked at the Bible, it says, God says, let us make man in our image. So we are part of the race of mankind. We're not human. Human is a derogatory term meaning beast. And so by humanizing the term mankind, you're lowering your status of being part of God's creation to a lower life form. This was something that was also introduced to cause us to be diminished further and further. So when we're looking at the things that are out there right now, the things that we're looking at, the things that we're seeing in regard to our health, look around you. Take a hard look around you. Look up in the sky. Does a exhaust from an airplane expand? Does an exhaust from an airplane, if it is a carbon of some kind or a carbon dioxide, would it actually sit there as long as it does? Would it keep growing? Does it form an X? Do you see that X up in the sky? That means X marks the spot. For some of you who don't understand that terminology. When we're looking at what they're doing with the food supply, you can't grow an organic. I was just looking at something today on one of my feeds. It says the organic people can't have both. You can't have an organic product without having some kind of pesticide today being sprayed on them, because the nature of the non-organics has created a superbug. If you don't protect the organics, they will be wiped out. That's where we're at today. This is why I'm encouraging you to take the initiative to grow your own hydroponics, aquaponics, indoor gardens that you can grow inside in your own domain. We can no longer depend on the current network that's in place to offer a food safety program for the general population. Not happening. When they created a free trade agreement with all these other countries that were still using pesticides that we had banned in North America, and they're bringing those foods in, and they can bring them in under the guise of free trade, this is insanity. Because if these things were toxic 50 years ago, what would have changed today? That's not a free trade. That's an invasion. A chemical invasion coming in through the food supply. And I keep telling everybody, we better start looking at things as if we are being invaded. See, you can have all the guns in the world you want. I release a biological pathology or a synthetic biology into the atmosphere or into the ground. Your guns ain't going to be worth a hill of beans when you're in a box and they're putting flowers over the box as they sink you into the ground, because you'll never know what got you. And this is a part of the concepts that I'm trying to get everybody to wake up to. You can defend what you can see, but you can't defend what you can't. So you have to start thinking in terms of your genetic code, because you don't see the damage that this stuff is doing to you until it's too late, until it's embedded, until it has basically rooted itself inside of you, and until it's made substantial changes in your system, then it's too late. And in the meantime, you go to a pharmaceutical or to a doctor. Doctors today are the joke of the century. They couldn't cure a hangnail. They can give you drugs that have 30 side effects that further implicate the problems to become further disastrous, that causes you to, again, to rapidly break down. Understand something. Wake up to this reality. How many of you have gone to a doctor? How many are still going to a doctor because you need your prescriptions filled? Why do you need to take a pharmaceutical drug in order to survive and be healthy? Makes no sense. The doctor should have been able to give you a cure. Should have been able to heal you. Should have been able to fix you. Should have been able to sustain you and reverse the conditions. Do you see that going on today? No. But you turn on any channel, on any television network, especially during the stock market exchange, and all you will see is drug after drug after drug after drug being advertised. Why is that? Last I checked, drugs are not part of the 4 food groups that we need to survive. And even when you look at the 4 food groups that we're consuming today, nuts, seeds, grains and breads, which we shouldn't be eating today at all whatsoever. So when we're looking at all these things that are going on to television with these drugs, why? Why the drugs? Why do we need to be taking drugs to maintain our health? Why? Why? So this is what you got to ask. Why do you need a drug to live? Why do we need a drug to live? Think about that. Why? Why do you need a drug to function? Think about that. Why aren't you cured? Why aren't you fixed? Why aren't you whole? How long have you been taking these drugs? Think about that. How many have been on medications for 10 years? How many and have gotten worse? Why? Because those drugs also has nanobiology in it. All these products are coming out in the health food store right now. I don't care what they are. When they say nano delivery, you better hang on to your wallet and you better start to study. I get people contacting me all the time. ask me the same rhetorical questions all the time in regard to certain things. And all I'm going to do from now on, I'm not going to answer anybody's questions anymore in regard to when you ask me something. I'm going to send you directly to my website because it's all there. And I can tell you in 1 minute what you need to hear, but 10 seconds after I tell you, you are going to forget it. Because then a week later, or a couple days later, people ask me the same question. So now I'm making you go and read it. If you really want to know what is going on in regard to this condition that's going on, the information is there. Download it. Read it. Consume it. Focus on it. You have to consider that this is real today. If everything you've done, you've gone to the health food store, you picked up all the stuff, you've done all the right things, and you're still feeling like hell, then you got to start thinking DNA has been reprogrammed. Something has changed the way your body should be working. If you've gone to the medical people and you've used all their crap and you're still feeling like crap and you're still not seeing any results, then you got to start thinking your DNA has been altered. Your genetic code has changed. Your chromosomes have changed. The mitochondria is not getting the support it's supposed to be getting. Your cells are not communicating because they've been putting silica. Take a look at your vitamins. Take a look at your drugs you're on. Look at the concept of silicon dioxide or any kind of silica that's there. That component shuts down the body's capacity to communicate with itself, so the body doesn't even know what's going on. And a lot of these autoimmune disorders are a direct result of silicosis that's been occurring in the body and accumulating in the body for over 5 decades for some of us, those of us who have used supplements or other things. It's been in all the bread, all the grains, all this so-called orgasmically organic crap that they've been selling to you. The Ezekiel bread, you know, the ones that the Christians get all gaga-eyed. Oh, they see a scriptural reference and go, and they fall, and they don't read the ingredients. Ever hear the concept of wolf in sheep's clothing? Just a concept, maybe? How some of these TV evangelicals are nothing but masons and they are acting like sheep in wolf's clothing? Well, the same concept can go on in the health food industry. So be awake. Same thing with the kosher. There's 3 kosher symbols. You know, the people of Israel or Israeli descendants are in the United States. You know, they read something that says kosher, they get all gaga. But they don't read the fine print. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Same thing with those who are of the Islamic faith, and they read that halal thing, and you know they can see the halal symbol. They get all crazy. But they don't read the other stuff that's inside of it. Sheep in wolf's clothing. See, be prepared. Be aware. Be awake. Be alert. Be alert. Be alert. Okay? I'm showing you how to defend yourself here. Some of you might think I'm taking it to the extreme, but you know what? We are in an extreme time. See, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about how the millennials today, excuse me, have never seen the blue sky. Never. They've lived in the southern hemisphere or the North American hemisphere. If they haven't been up way up north, they have never seen a blue sky. They've seen this powdery gray white crap that we're calling a sky. This coating that they put up in the atmosphere has covered the blue sky. And the millennials today have no idea about anything other than punching a keypad on a cell phone in order to have a meme or a smiley or a selfie or whatever. They don't even understand the concept of life yet. Probably will never get to that point because the majority of them will be dead by the time they're 30. So it's going to be up to you to explain to them what's real. And you're going to have to get over with them. You're going to have to get past them past the programming that they have been conditioned to. Because the educational system in North America and in other parts of the world, in Europe as well, oh, we're coming to that, the music. All right, come on back. But anyway, the educational system has completely brainwashed them or programmed them. All right, come on back. We'll get into some more. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantalresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. When we're talking about understanding things today, a lot of things that we've been taught in the past in regard to certain conditions, some things may be fungal, some things may be bacterial, some things may be microbial, something may be, a mold in your body, algae growing, yeast, whatever. We've all heard this stuff, and we've all pursued the removal of these components. We're trying to get rid of the fungus. We're using antibacterials, whether it be holistic or pharmaceutical. We're removing, yeast through whatever means possible. Removing parasites by using antiparasitics, so forth and so on. But they always seem to keep coming back. You ever notice that? You ever notice that you always seem to have a problem with these conditions? Did you ever think possibly, just possibly, that what you're still dealing with is the symptomology? In other words, you're dealing with the symptoms rather than the cause? When I talk about nanobiology and synthetic biology, because this is what we're dealing with, this is the new wave. When they're misleading people with these Lyme things and all these other things, and people are going to get tests, let me talk about the test for a minute. I had actually two practitioners contact me this week from the United States telling me that the tests that they're giving people are completely a joke. They offer no solutions. Basically, they're there more or less to appease the general population, to get their money from the people, and basically put the fear of God into them so that they would take things or do things they otherwise wouldn't do. Now, this came from two practitioners, okay, that are actually in the field. And I've had, I don't know how many nurses contact me in the last month telling me, from all across the U.S. and parts of Canada sometime, telling me that the whole system is just shot. You're not going to get really any results. In fact, you get worse when you go to the medical field. Now, and again, I always leave that room that you're going to probably find out of 100 doctors, one of them will probably be legit. Maybe two. Not much more. And those one or two doctors are overworked now, because the rest of 99 or 98 of them are basically incompetent buffoons that just all they know how to do is write a script and further perpetuate your misery so that you keep on coming back so they can keep on making their car payments. This is the reality today. Majority of the doctors are so out of touch with the current trends of what's going on and the current developments that have been going on in actually coming up with some successful treatments. They're still using some old archaic antique method that doesn't do anything. How many of you women are still getting a mammogram? My question to you is, are you nuts? Are you nuts? No man, okay, and I'm saying the word man, would allow anybody to put their testicles in a machine that's going to smash them with about 5,000 pounds per square inch just so we can see if they got testicular cancer. You know why? Because that much pressure on a man's testicles will cause a cancer. Mind you, if anybody came near any man's testicles with that kind of device, there would be a fight anyway. You volunteer yourselves to be subjected to a cancer-causing device. For some of you, this is an evolutionary, mind-boggling event. But seriously, the bigger the breast, the more the damage. It's not about big breasts, little breasts. This thing is dangerous and causes the cancers that you're all suffering. So why aren't you using a thermography type method? This is something that I've never understood, why anybody would volunteer, put themselves in a position where you're going to have a machine smash the blazes out of you, causing blood vessel damage, causing iron and copper to be released, which is bruising, and then allowing the area to be hit with x-rays. Woo! You see, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This is a barbaric ritual to basically castrate a woman from the waist up. So again, you know, anytime, and this is another thing, when you guys have a problem, a lump on an area, and they're going to tell you that they're going to lance that lump because they need a tissue sample, my suggestion to you would be leave the lump alone. Use enzymes internally, use the salt packs externally, break it down yourself, remove it yourself. It'll go on its own if you treat it yourself. If they lance it, they release it. Whatever the body is contained will be let go. Recognize that these things are happening because your body is creating congestions in the system from this nano buildup on the cellular level. You produce a biofilm, which would then cause an adhesion to these particulates, which will then embed or try to contain these particulates, which will then use your own biofilm to assemble and grow. This is all part of the program matrix that it does. Anybody that's been dealing with this can validate this, and some of the things that have come out of people. So when you're looking at today, let's investigate a little bit. Let's look at certain things a little bit. You've been dealing with, let's say, some kind of infection in your body. Bacterial, viral, fungal, yeast, mold, algae, whatever. And all of a sudden, you've gone and done the whole gamut with everything, and nothing seems to work. It seems like you get a handle on it, and it comes back with a vengeance. That's genetics. That's DNA. That's something that is affecting or stimulating your body to create this anomaly. Something small enough, something concentrated enough, something dense enough that would trigger an immune response, weakening the immune system, and then deactivating the immune system by entering the DNA sequence and changing the DNA. In other words, the DNA turns on, the immune system says, we got this health issue going on. But because the DNA isn't being activated, the condition continues to thrive. Now you got all this nanosilica in the system, which is also impeding the communication network from the cells to trigger another signaling pathway that may trigger another immune response from another direction. It too now is shut down. So then you say, well, what are we supposed to do? You're supposed to get that component out. Till you get that stuff out of you, you will always feel the perpetuation of these health conditions, bar none. When I say do not eat bread, why am I saying do not eat bread? Because I got a thing against bread? No, I'm a Mediterranean. We love bread. Bread was part of my matrix for up until 10 years ago. Bread has been contaminated with nanosilica and other glyphosates and other chemicals on a genetic level. There is no such thing as a safe bread. Now a lot of you are freaking out. Oh, what am I going to eat? Oh. Your berries, your grapes, your fruit, especially those berries and grapes, things like that. When you look at them under a microscope, you are going to freak out. They are loaded to the core. You cannot wash them out. I stated before, you have to juice, filter in oil, let it separate, and then pour through a filter to get the nano out. Only way right now that I know of. I haven't created a device that can lift it out of the skin, but if it's embedded into the fiber, that's the only way you're going to get it out. When we're talking genetic code and DNA, one of the things you want to start using are things that are going to support the SOD content, superoxide dismutase, and the glutathione levels, and anything that is up there in regarding to, again, building your DNA, like adenine, which is a type of B4, vitamin B3, vitamin B2. This is part of your DNA construction, regeneration, and repair. Make sure you're getting adequate amounts of vitamin B2, riboflavin with phosphorus, vitamin B3, any forms of it, whether it be niacinamide, niacin, and acetohexaniacinate. Any form of these will suffice and work. Vitamin B4, which is called adenine. You're going to have to order that online because nobody sells it, and if they do sell it, it'll be compromised with some kind of silica or some other stupid crap that they'll mix with it. But these are things you want to sustain for the DNA. You might want to start using things like ribose sugar, because it's the ribose sugar that helps perform the RNA and the DNA. It's that specific sugar that, again, produces the proper acid for it to convert and to develop. You might want to start using things like creatine. Things like creatine with copper lysine to help, again, in the regenerating of the DNA. You might want to use things like copper and aspirin, copper and B3, copper and zinc, to help increase the SOD content in the body. You might want to start looking at sulfur, like NAC, alpha lipoic acid, MSM, methionine, taurine. These all eventually convert to glutathione. NAC goes directly from NAC to glutathione. That's the preferred method of getting it in the system and using vitamin C with it. Taking things like Epsom salt and sodium thiosulfate, pectin, sodium EDTA. This will go a long way in removing the density of these materials that have been trapped inside the tissues and the cells. And by reducing the load, by using the baths that we suggested, using the saline solutions in the bath, the 4 salts, doing them daily, if need be, doing them 7 times in one day just to get started and breaking down the barriers that are containing these components. This is what you've got to do in order to give your system a chance to catch its wind and take a break. There's no other option at this point in time. You can be pulsed with an EMP pulse or an electromagnetic field pulse or a pulse EMF. These are all basically the same thing, but all that's going to do is deactivate the components that are inside the system. They're following their algorithms and their program to assemble, self-repair, self-replicate, and to network in your system. If you just shut them off, you still have to deal with the heavy metal poisoning. You have to understand a nanoparticle is 1/1000th of a meter. If you get 1,000 of them in a cell, you choke out a cell. Because you've got 1,000 of them clustered together, that forms a heavy metal bond in the body. And you're loaded with it. When you start seeing the lesions form on the skin, that means that your body has reached saturation point. If you start seeing geometrical patterns forming on the skin as well, that means you are being activated with a frequency. If you're not showing the signs of something coming out of the skin, that means that it's internalizing inside of you, networking and constructing itself while it's still inside. You will have to start breaking that down from the inside out. This tech will grow from the top up, top down, from the top to the bottom, and from the bottom to the top. In other words, it gets on the skin, penetrates, and starts to assemble downward. If you've consumed the stuff, it translocates into the body. Wherever it sits will build upward to form the networks required to, again, take over. And the interesting thing I am finding, more and more people are writing me today, planet-wide, in regard to this, what we're talking about on the show. You just heard from Hawaii, paradise. That everything she is seeing with the mini microscope that she's got, the lens loop, is loaded for bear with nano. I'm showing you how to defend, because these are the things you need to understand. You need to start looking at things like EMF pulses, PEMF pulses, electromagnetic field pulses, things like this. You need to look under detoxification in regard to using proper detox. A lot of the old detox kits don't work, will not work. In fact, can cause an exasperation in the system. When we're talking smart sensors and smart dust in the food supply, they do not deactivate. They still follow their program, and they still try to orient your DNA just like they would the plant. So when we're dealing with frequencies today, understand that frequencies can change things. It can now be said, a pathology. Remember, they're worried about a virus. Oh, you gotta get your flu virus. Oh, the flu virus. Oh. Because now I can fire a frequency in an area. I don't even have to release the pathogen. Just a frequency can cause a simulation of what I want to be released. When it hits your body, it'll program you to think you have this condition. Still think we're in Kansas. Kansas has changed. It has evolved. Or maybe devolved, depending on how you look at it. Learn. Understand this technology. Understand this biology. It's a synthetic biology. Understand artificial intelligence. You better understand that one. That one is a problem. Anything that can control the economics of a country, the stock market of a country, the military hardware of a country, and the country has no control over that program, you better be concerned. We should have never, the authorities that were in power should never have taken the finger off the button. We've given it to a machine. It wouldn't take much and this machine does not need a programmer to program it. It now operates on its own, writing its own programming syntax. That's what makes this technology incredibly dangerous, staggeringly dangerous, more so than anything else. Can you imagine the hardware of the planet tied to a mechanization that has that much control? If you still think I'm a little bit out there with this whole concept, go watch the video AI is Killing Us by Jay Tuck. And those of you from my era of time, the 50s baby, remember the comic book Magnus the Robot Fighter? You might want to look at that book again. You might want to take a second look. A lot of the stuff in that comic, it was a Magnus the Robot Fighter, for those of you who've never read comics, was a comic written in the 50s and then later was revamped in the late 90s. It was a story about a person of mankind that was raised to disarm robots and artificial intelligence. And he was genetically engineered to be able to fight the machinery. Anyway, in there you see that these machines go rogue and many a time make the attempt to usurp mankind from their rightful place. And when you read the stories, some of them are obviously fantasy and fictional, but the point they were trying to make back in the 50s when they initiated this was the dangers of this type of tech and the dangers of allowing this tech to be unchecked, which today it isn't. And I'm pointing this out to you so that you get a grip and understand that we are not living in the simpler times and the naive times and the innocent times we had before. We're living in a world that's changing so rapidly you can't barely keep up. And it's changing rapidly to be contorted to the AI program. When you start looking at blockchain, you better start getting ideas to form your own blockchain with other people across the world, across the planet. You know, create these blockchains so that you can interact with each other, brainstorm, and come up with solutions. That is how it needs to be done. Nobody is beyond that point. I do it all the time. I have people I blockchain with all the time. They're from Arizona, across the West Coast, across the East Coast, over in Europe, different parts of Europe, you know, everywhere. You know, I get people contact me and we talk and we associate across Canada, and it's about exchanging ideas. And forget about getting into your supremacy that your idea is better than somebody else's. Listen to everybody's ideas. We're not all seeing it correctly anyway, so anybody who brings a perspective in, least you can do is listen to it. You might be surprised at some of the insights some people may have. And from there you can fight a better battle. We are in a war, you know. There is no question about it. We are in a war, and we're in the war for the very existence of this planet. Because again, artificial intelligence gets a hold of the planet, it's done. And nothing will be able to exist on this planet unless it's been assimilated by artificial intelligence. That's the way it's going. And if you haven't seen that yet, you're still not paying attention. Sounds like a commercial. You're still not paying attention. Speaking of commercials, you got the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Again, this is a network that you might want to support and give them a hand. They're allowing programs like this and others to come out and tell you the way it is and how it is. So again, support the program. You got byebyebluesky.com. You got myself. April 6th through April 8th, we are going to be in Toronto doing the Green Show, and we're going to show people what we got, do things. What, you know, we're going to try to do some stuff there. So if you got a camera, a telephone camera, or whatever, you might want to bring it. You might want to film some of the stuff we're going to be doing. I'm going to try to show you how to make certain things while we're there. And so we're going to try to make it an educational as well as informative program. Show you some of the new develops. I came up with a new mini triangle. The triangle is about, well, not quite half the size. It's smaller, different magnets. And when you hold a magnet inside of it and it pulses you, you can feel the power. And I've been using it myself, and I've seen bots, all kinds of nanobots come out. So again, bring your cameras, come up, say hi. We're going to be there. Anyhow, it'll be April 6th through 8th. Bye Bye Blue Sky and myself, we're going to be there doing what we do best, trying to show you what you can do and educate you the best we can. I'm down here. If you go to my website, augmentedforce.com, there is a catalog link. Feel free to access the catalog link. If you do need stuff, feel free to contact me. If you need a consultation, again, feel free to contact me. We got all kinds of things there. Feel free to explore those things. If you need something, send me an email, and we'll go from there. All right. The whole perspective today on health is not just about popping a vitamin or popping a protein shake or doing a smoothie or watching your calories or losing weight or gaining weight or getting bigger muscles or shrinking down, whatever it may be you're trying to do. Today, it's all about how we can support our genetic code. What does it mean to get our genetic code in line? What does it mean to keep our genetic code from being corrupted? What do we have to do in order to sustain that effect? What should we be doing in regard to neutralizing what's going on? Take a look at that. All right, listen, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Thursday, and we'll try it again and see what we can get to, okay? Till then, brainstorm, and study, and then do more brainstorming. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, welcome. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pantalleresco. This is The Remedy, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Hopefully you're getting this. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Then click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, save the planet, cooperate, brainstorm, come up with some ideas. I'm also published at byebyebluesky.com and sites throughout the internet. feel free, and also have YouTube's set up for anybody to go watch and learn how to remedy yourselves. And we also have the Podomatics available, so feel free to access all these things at your disposal. I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to start talking about certain things, I guess. I guess the biggest thing that I get email-wise is some of the fiction a lot of you believe. Some ideas and concepts that you have fallen into over years and years are being propagated with gurus and research that doesn't give you the full detail or the full concept of, you know, the full, full concept on what's really going on. You know, when sometimes some people, hear me talk in regard to taking more copper, taking more zinc, taking more this, taking more that, and they have other ideas that they want to try other things because they heard that copper can be dangerous, iodine can be dangerous, zinc can be dangerous, too much vitamin C could be a problem. Vitamin C isn't really vitamin C anymore, and it can cause X, Y, Z, and all kinds of health issues. And you hear this kind of crap all the time, and then you get into this doubting thing. Well, should I take it anymore? Let me point out something very strongly, very quickly here. The FDA for the last 60 or 70 years has attacked the health food industry to such a point where it still creates the attacks and the culprits that do attack, specifically things that still work. Unfortunately, the health food industry has also been inundated with doctors and doctor gurus who have absolutely no idea about health whatsoever, and in fact just rehash the same old research without further investigating the research. They just come out there and propagate what's already been told because you've already been programmed. Since you've already been programmed, it's a lot easier to take advantage of ignorance or of people who are programmed or conditioned to accept facts that aren't factual. And when you hear some of the things that you're hearing, you don't have this enzyme, you don't have this capacity to do this, you don't blah, blah, blah. That is only an aspect of the issue. The real issues, the real underlying issues is how you have all been disarmed. Okay? Everybody overlooks the simplest perspective here. That everybody that's out there having a health issue today has been disarmed, afflicted, integrated with synthetic biology in some form or fashion, integrated with genetic, transgenetic, epigenetic technology, has had your systems corrupted with bad DNA, and nobody, and I mean nobody, with a few exceptions out there like myself, are talking in regard to the detrimental effects of these issues that are causing the secondary or third, fourth, fifth causal effects as a result of your genetic code being disrupted. Contacted somebody who was worried about the copper not being absorbed properly and blah, blah, blah. He went on and on and on. Sounded like a hypochondriac on steroids. You can hear whatever you want to hear, and you can discern whatever you think you need to discern, but you have to understand the full equation of the matter is really simply this. If you're not getting at the cause of whatever it is that's causing the problems for you, and all you're dealing with are with the causal or the symptomatic effects, you never fix anything, ever. Everybody in the health food industry to this very day is dealing with how to deal with the symptomologies that you're dealing with. Nobody's dealing with the fact that your DNA has been corrupted and disrupted, and nobody's talking about repairing the DNA and getting the DNA back online. Nobody's talking about repairing the mitochondria. Nobody's talking about repairing the colon. Nobody's talking about restoring the colon's bacterial balance and the homeostasis in the colon. Nobody's talking about restoring the acids in the colon that need to be there. Nobody's talking about using proper nutrients at proper ratio, not necessarily proper ratios, but proper nutrients in order to create the chemical reactions required for the body to produce the enzymes to trigger more reactions in the body. Nobody's talking about using the aspects of the system where we're going to talk about repairing the ATP production of the cell. Nobody's talking about increasing the communication levels between the cells and the tissues. But instead, you're being told to avoid copper. You're being told to avoid zinc. You're being told to avoid iodine. Heaven forbid if you take vitamin C, the ascorbic acid, because that's not really vitamin C and it doesn't really do anything. After 90 years of proven scientific solidarity in regard to vitamin C, you are going to listen to these morons and these bozos who have no idea what they're talking about and are there to sell you product. They don't care about you. They don't care about your health. What the bottom line with most of them is they care about seeing a fool and his money depart. That's what it's all about. Nobody's talking to you about that the reason why you're still sick today and having health issues is because you've got nanopoisoning in your food supply. You got synthetic biology in your food supply. You got transgenetics, epigenetics in your food supply. Nobody's talking to you about the fact that you've been vaccinated, which has altered your DNA sequence in your body, so your body does not function the way it should be because the vaccines deactivated your genetic code. Nobody's talking about this. But you will listen to somebody telling you that something might be evil. Had a guy contact me the other day in an email saying that the doctor was saying not to use vinegar and lemon, the essential oil lemon, because it could kill you. I started laughing, when he wrote me this. The doctor is going to worry about vinegar and limonene. Two components that come in food naturally, acetic acid and limonene. And he's worried that that's going to kill you. And yet this is the same jackass that will prescribe to you pharmaceutical drugs that have over 30 side effects that do kill you. See, if I'm worried about limonene and vinegar or acetic acid, I wouldn't be eating any kind of lemon or any kind of citrus fruit because they all have limonene in them. And I wouldn't be using any form of vinegar. Why? They might kill me. Vinegar might kill me. Oh my gosh, vinegar. Oh God, for vinegar is going to kill me. Ooh, I'm so afraid of vinegar. Yet when you look at the actual studies, this is what I'm saying. You guys will listen to a jackass who couldn't tie their shoe with his Velcro and is dumber than a bag of rocks. Instead of looking at, let's take a look at vinegar and let's take a look at limonene. Oh, look at the health benefits of limonene. Oh my gosh, it supports CQ10. Oh, look, it keeps the arterial blood flow moving. Oh, look, it removes any impediment in the brain. Oh, look, it can actually knock out specific viruses, bacteria, or fungus. Wow. Let's look at acetic acid. Let's look at vinegar. Oh my gosh, look, it can regulate diabetic issues. It can heal diabetic foot sores. It can knock out cancer cells. Wow. Two things that can take out cancer cells. Can keep the body healthy, can keep the DNA intact. Oh my gosh, this is going to kill you. But a lot of you will fall for that same horse hockey over and over and over again. What is it going to take for you to realize that this industry is full of contradiction, that this industry is full of shit most of the time, that this industry is just there by, what's the term, reputation only anymore. Got too many doctors have gotten involved, too many people in the pharmaceutical end of things have gotten involved, and have corrupted this industry to the core. Look at your supplements. What is silicon dioxide doing in the supplement? What is titanium dioxide doing in the supplement? What is artificial natural flavoring agents doing in supplements? What is soy doing in supplements? What are genetically modified products doing in supplements? Have you ever asked that question? Why are they putting nanotechnology in supplements? Why are they putting anything that has an OSE at the end of it in supplements? Why are they putting cross-carbamylose, hypermellose, microcrystalline cellulose? Why are they being put in supplements? See, that's the question that you should be asking. Not questioning whether or not an element is good or bad for you. A lot of times the studies that were done on copper and some of these other metals that they were saying had a toxicity factor to them is because at the time when they did the study, something else was going on which would not be necessarily pertinent in today's time. And at one point in time, they were lining up the copper homes with copper tubing, which caused a zinc imbalance. So they may not have had a copper overload, but what they may have had is a zinc deficiency as a result of taking the copper. That was never really investigated either. You see, so you only got an equation that didn't have all the facts, and then this is what's being propagated as some kind of solution. Oh, you're getting too much copper. You don't have the protein to break the copper down. Maybe you don't have the protein to break the copper down is because you don't have the zinc in the body in adequate amount to convert into an enzyme that would give you the protein to break the copper down. You see what I'm saying? Nobody is talking correctly in regard to some of the things you are being exposed to. A lot of it is pure horse hockey, and you need to wake up on this reality. If you're afraid of every little thing they tell you, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, then again, evaluate that statement. One guy wrote me, oh, well, how much vitamin E is it going to take for me to become toxic? Because he was worried about 15,000 IUs. I said, you would need to take 100,000 IUs for 30 days before you would reach any form of toxicity. 30 days. You know, what's that? Six, almost 7 times the amount that he's worried about. Like I said, when you read these things and you research these things, look at them from a full perspective. Full perspective. Don't allow yourself to be misled. The biggest thing I'm telling everybody these days is start reading the other ingredients in the vitamins, because that's what's going to make or break the sale for you. That's what should make or break the sale for you. If the vitamin is loaded, or the nutrient is loaded, or the supplement is loaded with all kinds of wonderful things, then the first thing you should be looking at, are they putting these measurements of these components in the pill? If they're just a proprietary blend where you got 29 different things in the pill, then you have to wake up on that one and recognize that whatever is in that pill is nominal. If you got 29 different things, you're only going to get maybe 10 milligrams at the most 15 milligrams of whatever they're putting in there, and it may not be in equal amounts. Again, it's another caveat that they do to sell you stuff that may have absolutely no value other than to take away your money. They don't care. There was a product when I was down in Arizona. This product had everything under the sun. It combined homeopathic with herbal, with vitamin and other antioxidants, enzymes, all in one package. Must have had about 99 things in it, and it sold for $12. It was junk. Unequivocal junk. But what they did is they played on people's ignorance in regard to supplementation, because people have this tendency to think that they only want to take 1 pill a day, and that's going to hold them the whole day long. So they sold the product. People would come in and ask, oh, I want that one. It's got all that stuff in it. What they didn't realize is the homeopathic elements they put in those products were neutralized. And secondly, there was no way to get that many things in 1 pill. Impossible. So and again, this was a product. I forget what it was called now. I don't even want to mention it, but the name. But I don't even remember it, to be honest with you. But when you look at these kind of stuff that you're dealing with today, you have, like I said, to use that gray matter between your ears. I understand a lot of you don't understand some of the things I talk about sometimes, and sometimes it gets a little over your head. But this is a common sense factor. You have to start thinking that we are in a war. We are in a war that's designed to compromise you on every front and every level. There is no out. There is no back door. We're here. You're being confronted. Now, it's up to you to understand how you're being confronted, so you know how to neutralize, deal with, or circumvent anything that might be coming your way. You don't have the option anymore to listen and believe some of these gurus. You don't. A lot of them today have no idea whatsoever in regard to nanobiology, synthetic biology, transgenetics, epigenetics. And I heard something the other day, and some of you may have heard it too. There's a goofball, a real bona fide goofball on the internet, who's out there talking about this black goo, which is nothing but a lot of bunk. Now, those of you who are listening to me and understand what I'm talking about in regard to nanopoison, which he's calling Morgellons, which is again inaccurate. This guy's such an idiot. The aspect he's telling a lot of you, and you better not fall for this. You better not believe his horse hockey, because it's not true what he's saying. He has no evidence whatsoever to validate it. He's playing on your emotions. That he's saying if you're not showing any signs in your on the body, then you're okay. Nothing could be further from the truth. When if you're not showing any signs coming out of the body, that means your immune system is losing heavy ground. Okay, this moron went and used a frog venom to help his body expedite the high volume of nanopoison that he was dealing with, not realizing that when he took that venom, it cut his lifespan, literally. Because what this venom does, and they used to use this back in the 50s, but they found it had a double-edged sword. Yeah, it cured you, but at the same time, it cut your lifespan. This goofball used this stuff and has been propagating this. That's exactly what he is a bloody goofball. I get a little annoyed with this guy because he used my research and Brian 396's research to propagate his bullshit. And that annoys me because he's then now using it to keep people further in the dark. The mushroom treatment, keep you in the dark and feed you a lot of crap. And that's what he's done. So when we're looking at these kind of, and this is what I'm trying to warn you about, these kind of morons, these kind of goofballs, these kind of sheep in wolf clothing. Because that's what they are, sheep in wolf's clothing. They preach some and propagate some nonsense so that they can be looking like they're important. So you support and throw your support toward a goof who doesn't know anything about anything. When we're talking about nanotechnology, nanobiology, nanoinfections, synthetic biological infections, we are dealing with something we've never dealt with before. We're dealing with an algorithm and a programs network that's inside your system through various means, from smart dust, smart sensors, chemtrails, frequencies that you're being targeted with, water you're drinking, plastics that you're absorbing, from a whole host of things, nano products that you're, again, using in your system, soaps and whatnot. When this gets inside of you, the activation process almost starts immediately, goes through an incubation stage, and within 72 hours starts the assembling, movement, and takeover of your body. It has assimilated your DNA and now is going to operate accordingly. This will continue to build a network in your system until either you're activated or hyperactivated, or until you're saturated with this programming. And once the saturation point hits, or once the activation hits, that's when you'll start seeing it come to the surface. But because you don't see it does not mean it's not taking you over. If you're feeling any kind of pain, joint pains, if you're feeling any kind of restrictions in your movements, if you're seeing some sort of anomalies starting to occur in your body, if you're having problems, if you're having problems in regard to memory, mental focus, clarity, you might have something else going on in the system. When we're looking at some of the things that are transpiring today in regard to some of the health issues going on, again, this is all being tied to DNA. DNA deactivation, DNA override. And anybody who's today who's telling you because you're not seeing the symptomologies, it means that nothing's happening. I have had that before with people telling me this, well, I don't see anything happening. 2 years later, they're in misery. Well, I hear the music, so come on back and we will talk in a bit. Take care. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Remedy. I am your host, Tony Pantelleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. During the break, I was looking at my email, and I got an email actually from Arizona. I have friends all over the place, and some of them are activists. Just about all of them are activists. Anyway, yeah, that's true. Just about all of them are activists. Anyway, I want to read this to you. Kudos to the people of the state of Michigan. Michigan, can you believe this? Michigan of all places. You know, this is amazing. The people in Michigan have done a phenomenal job objecting to 5G legislation that sadly passed by the Senate today, despite all the overwhelming evidence of harm, scientific and human. However, one person, a real human being, stood out and up. Senator Patrick Colbeck. Senator Patrick Colbeck. I want to make sure everybody understands this. Senator Patrick Colbeck. Senator Colbeck's speech should be heard by every legislator in the country, and this should apply to Canada as well. His speech may awaken them and remind them of their supreme duty to protect the health of the people, and that not doing so is a violation of the state's constitution. His speech is the first speech by any legislator in this country who finally spoke the truth about wireless health effects loud and clear. The following words by Senator Colbeck should be written in stone. Article 4, Section 51 of the Michigan Constitution states, "The public health and general welfare of the people of the state are hereby declared to be the matter of primary public concern. The legislature shall pass suitable laws for the protection and promotion of the public health, despite the convenience and the enormous economic growth potentially associated with the Internet of Things," which is a con. "Our primary concern as legislators is not convenience nor economic growth as much as I love technology. As per our Michigan Constitution, the public health and general welfare of the people of our state are supposed to be our primary concern." He also said, "This convenience comes at a price, and it comes not at the price to the health of many of our citizens, most notably children, babies in the womb, and even adults who suffer from hypersensitivity to wireless transitions. A few weeks ago, I distributed sample data to each of you from scientific studies compiled by bioinitiative.org. The adverse effects are very serious. Many of us are rightly concerned about the hazards of cigarettes, lead levels, and other harmful substances, but I regret to inform you that we need to add electromagnetic radiation from wireless technology to this list." That is coming from a state official in the state of Michigan. My point is this: we are at war. The Internet of Things is there and being put there by design to basically further tighten the loop, to make sure there's no back doors for anybody to come out of. Blockchain, the Internet of Things, singularity, all one thing, and it's designed to lead everybody into a one world system. That's what this is all about. You won't be able to buy or sell anything. This is why the blockchain is out there. This is why the Bitcoiner is out there, to again to further diminish the value of any kind of currency. This is what it's all about. So when we're talking some of the things we're talking today, you know, in regard to health, this is a big one, and I'm working on this myself morning, noon, and night, trying to come up with solutions, coming up with vortex devices, coming up with pulsing units to knock nanotechnology out of the body. The reason why a lot of this technology has an adverse effect on just about everybody, including babies in the womb, is because the babies in the womb have nanobots, nanoparticulates in the cells and while they were being born. You know, this is what's happening. This is why we're having the health issues we're having with kids today. They are loaded to the gills, saturated on a cellular level with nano poisoning. And the nano poisoning reacts with these frequencies and actually amplifies their frequency, because now you're a walking, talking, living antenna. Your DNA is all over the place. So the Internet of Things now has access to your DNA through the transmission process, through this nanotechnology, and through these towers. 5G is going to basically cook everybody. And the Chinese now are talking about 6G. The Chinese are talking about 6G. So this is never going to stop, never going to end, until we do something about really putting a tight, hard-ass control on artificial intelligence. This is all, artificial intelligence is all behind all of this. Artificial intelligence is driving this. So again, we need to be fully aware that AI is a program routine that keeps on upgrading itself. And the more it can upgrade, the programmers don't know what it's doing. They have no clue. It can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants. There's no leash on it, no tether. You know, and they want to put in regulations now into the artificial intelligence. It's too late. It's way past too late. Even if they had initiated those protocols at the very early stages of artificial intelligence development, once they gave it the go-ahead to override and overwrite its program and to modify its own programming, that would have been terminated anyway. That's the world we live in, not the Walt Disney specials that you see on television. So when we're talking about health today, it's on a whole different spectrum, a whole different variety. We have to understand how our DNA works, what's required to maintain a good, healthy DNA structure, and communications with the cells, using things like silica in any form or fashion. I've said this many a time. I still get emails asking me about silica. I keep telling them, why don't you go look at the research and see for yourself? It's on my site. If you're still wondering about silica because you're hearing the gurus spout out at the mouth on silica and how great it is for you, then why did they stop feeding it to the livestock back in 1960? Because it caused genetic and DNA damage to the livestock. As soon as they saw that, they stopped it. They even stopped any further development in the research. It caused genetic damage. Then the health food industry turned right around and started selling it as diatomaceous earth. And over 5.5 decades, this has been going on. So then you have to wonder how much damage this has done on a DNA level. How many cells has this actually infiltrated and turned off? Like I said, when they put it in the bread supply in 1960, by 1970 you had fibromyalgia, you had lupus, you had restless leg, autoimmune disorders, heart failure, cancers. Cancers were just rampant at that time. And you can almost make the connection. They started it here, 10 years later you had all this. They didn't have that before they put it in the bread, in all the grains. Some of you say to me, well, can I make my own bread? When I hear questions like this, I can tell that the aluminum and the lithium has taken place in the head. Where is your flour coming from? It's coming from the fields, from the wheat, from the rice, from the barley, from the oats, wherever you're, whatever flax, whatever flour you are getting. It's coming from the field. What are they doing in the field? They are spraying glyphosates on the field. They're spraying nano silver on the field. They're dropping chemtrails from the sky on the field. So, ergo, it's being saturated with these components, which then goes right to the plant's genetic code. Can you wash it off? No. It's embedded right to the very core of the plant itself. So can you eat it? You can do whatever you want. Should you be eating it? My answer is no. You mix the silica content plus the other components that they're putting into it, plus the carbon you're binding it with, and you've got a delivery method to deliver and transport these components throughout the body. They got everybody, and this is my point. Again, I'm going to point out, they got everybody worried about gluten. Gluten's a problem. Gluten's a problem. You should be eating gluten-free bread. Gluten is nothing but a protein that used to supply the body what it needed for proteins. But the gluten got converted or altered when they genetically engineered the plants. So is gluten the problem? No. Is the genetics of the plant the problem? Definitely. It no longer acts like it's supposed to because it's been altered. The programming of the wheat has been altered in any form of gluten. If you ate gluten on its own, you wouldn't have a problem. If you eat the wheat without the gluten, you still have problems. Why is that? Because the components are saturated with materials inside that are not supposed to be there, that do not work with your system, do not work with your body, do not work with you whatsoever, and in fact trigger autoimmune disorders. Allows nanotechnology to have a stronger foothold in accessing you. What are we dealing with today is not the same stuff as yesterday. We are dealing with synthetic biology, nanobiology, nanotechnology, bioengineered technology, epigenetic technology, transgenetic technology. We have that going on in our bodies right now as a via the vaccines. Now we got it floating around in the air. Every time a drone or a programmed plane flying in the air releases chemtrails, this is a summation of everything I just said. Epigenetics, transgenetics, genetics, nanotechnology, nanobiology, synthetic biology, it's all wrapped up in one. Do you actually think that's snow coming down on the ground when it's snowing? Do you actually think that's just rain coming down on the ground when it's raining? Did you ever think that they might have put in some sort of synthetic technology or synthetic biology in the release of the clouds? Why do you think they mark an X above you? Why do you think they mark X's in the sky? Targeting points to drop a payload. Ever think of that? Concept you might want to consider. I don't know, putting an X up in the sky above my store or above my home or above where I'm parking. Needs one to be a little bit concerned. Why are they Xing the sky? What is coming down from that location? Ever think about that? Something to consider. Instead of watching TV, take a look at the sky. You might be surprised what you're seeing up there. Ever see a Chembo? A Chembo is a combination of particulate matter that concentrates so that when the sunlight hits it, produces a variety of colors in the sky. Where do you think that's coming from? and what particulates are up there that would cause that kind of reflective or deflective effect on the sunlight. What's that doing to you? See, things that make me go, I didn't give you a whole lot of solutions today because I've talked about these things in the past, but I always will give you solutions. Today was a show about making you aware and being prepared and to not get soaked in to these gurus. Now I'm going to talk about another thing. Okay, some of you are afraid of using cannabis or some other material that may have a hallucinogenic effect. Now this is how I see things, and this is the perspective I have on these matters. The living God, and that's where I come from, the living God created everything on this planet to give us life and to give us health. Now, having said that, I have no problem anybody using any form of herb, as long as you are in control of the driver's seat. In other words, if it's going to put you in a state of inebriation, I don't have a problem with that either. A slight buzz is not going to be the end of the world. But if you're not in control of the driver's seat, in other words, in control of your thoughts, in control of your actions, responsible for the way you conduct yourself, then don't use it. Okay? If you are not in control of the driver's seat, okay, even biblically, Paul told Timothy to drink some wine to help him with his digestion because he had a stomach issue. Drink some wine, help you digest. But, like I said, if you're not in the driver's seat, then don't use it. Use whatever God has given you on this planet. I don't tell you not to use anything. Use whatever God has given you on this planet. Use it wisely and use it and understand the uses of these plants. And some of them can have problems if you don't know what you're doing. But if it's going to put you in a position where you are compromised, okay, or you are no longer in control, some demon has taken over you, or some alien force has taken over you, or some other anomaly has taken over you, then you better not mess with it. And I'm not saying to be afraid of anything. I am saying respect these plants. They are powerful. They have healing properties. They can do a lot for you. But if you abuse anything, and I mean anything, you're going to get your backside handed to you. Keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind. We are, I have no issue with anybody using anything. Seriously. Use aspirin. I think aspirin is one of the best things you can use, provided it's a pure aspirin and not the pharmaceutical crap in a drugstore. Go order pure aspirin. It has tremendous health benefits. Don't abuse it. Respect it. It has power. When God put something on this planet, He didn't just give it something, some lifeless entity. It's got power. It's got, it can do things. It can make things. You just got to know how to activate these components so that they can do what you need them to do. Okay? But like I said, you be in the driver's seat. If you're not in the driver's seat, don't drink. If you're not in the driver's seat, don't eat certain things. Don't take certain things. If you're not in the driver's seat, the onus is on you to be in the driver's seat. You don't need to be inebriated and somebody puts a suggestion in your head and then you decide to walk off a cliff because they put this program inside of you. Okay? You're in the driver's seat. Always remember that. That's what the whole healing thing's all about. You being in the driver's seat. All right. Before I go on, let me remind you that the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network is a network that could use your support, use your help, and give them a call. Say, hey, I heard about you. What can I do for you? Give them a shout. Contact the Micro Effect. Okay, got Bye Bye Blue Sky and myself. April 6th. It's April 6th to April 8th. It's coming around the corner. It's not that far away. We're going to be up there in the Green Show in Toronto. And we're going to be showing you all kinds of different things. We got some things planned. Hopefully you'll show up. We may even show you how to build a mini triangle. I just came up with a mini triangle. I videoed it. I haven't put it out on YouTube yet. So far I'm just basically releasing it just to the immediate core group that I work with. Show everybody what we're doing. so everybody can try it out. But you know, you might see how to make a mini triangle. You might even see how to make a mini vortex device to help you protect you and help you with your sleep, and maybe block some of these frequencies that you're being hit with. So again, come on up, check us out. Bye Bye Blue Sky with Susan Marr. She will be there. I will be there as well. So and there'll be other active people in there displaying different things. So feel free to pop on in and say hello. I got my website, augmentinforce.com. augmentinforce.com. There's a catalog link. Feel free to access that catalog link. The mini triangle isn't there yet. It'll probably will be showing up. But anyway, there's the triangle, there's the bucket, there's the flash drive, there's the books on DVD, there are remedies there, there's the repulsors, there's all kinds of things there. So if you're interested, feel free to, again, contact me. As well, I do consultations, so feel free to email me and let me know if you're interested. So again, so for more information, email independz@yahoo.com, INDEPENDZ@yahoo.com, or contact me at 519-977-5351. All right, almost down to the nitty gritty here. All right, got you thinking, got you looking, got you focusing, got you not believing. If you're going to believe anything, see the whole picture and stick to what has substance. If it doesn't have substance, drop it. That's that simple. If it's not showing any substantial value whatsoever, not giving anything that's solid, drop it. It's just sales. If you're doing something and it's not working, chances are it either is not meant for you, or you're not doing enough of it, or you haven't done it long enough. And these are the only three options that you have to consider. So again, think about what you're doing. Understand that a lot of the studies are only giving you a perspective at best. They're not giving you the whole picture. There's a lot of things in these studies that are left out and not talked about. And when they do a study or an examination, they're only focusing on finding out one or two things in the parameters that they're researching. They're not looking for the overall picture. So keep that in mind when you're reading some of these studies. It's only a specific thing they're looking at, not the whole gambit. So when they're saying that you can't absorb the copper, well, because maybe you don't have enough zinc to be able to absorb the copper properly, or maybe you're not getting enough protein, or maybe because you're overloaded it, and because that's causing an imbalance in the system. This is never reported. This is never reported. It's only at best a small aspect of the whole picture. Don't be deceived. Start thinking. Start having critical thinking about what you're hearing, what you're listening to. Question everything. Find out answers. If you're not happy with the answers, go look for them. Validate those answers. Validate it one way or the other. You owe that to yourself. Because without the validation, all you're going to get is tossed to and fro by goofy gurus and goofy doctors that are in this industry that couldn't tie their shoe with Velcro, and all they really give a rat's backside about is the bottom line. How much money are they going to get out of you? They don't care if you ever recover. If you recover, that means you will no longer buy their products or the drugs. So keep that in mind. Unfortunately, in today's time, our food supply is poisoned, and you need anything you can get to give you the best advantage of neutralizing the toxicity of the food you're consuming. Don't allow yourself the luxury of just falling and believing for whatever is being touted in the health food industry, because 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, 99.99999% of the time, it's fiction. You know, it's now one aspect of it is reality, and the rest is all fiction. And they're selling you on the sensationalism of the product rather than what it can really do, how to actually even apply it to make it work. That's not even expressed either. All they're giving you is a suggested daily dose on a bottle, because this way, if you don't put it that way, then you're treating the people according to the medical field, which I find is somewhat alarming. That if you help somebody heal, that's considered practicing medicine. Yet everything I see in medicinal practices doesn't heal anything. So I'm trying to figure out how they made that connection, since today's medical field hasn't cured anything, and they've even stated in 1986 or not, sorry, mid 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, that they can't cure anything. So if they can't cure anything and you can, then it means you're not practicing medicine. They are. They're the ones practicing medicine. You aren't. You're practicing common sense and practicality. Keep that in mind as well. So I don't practice medicine. I live my life. And I know how to use biologicals and chemicals to help my body sustain overall health and healing. Going to the doctor, I've never heard anybody in the last 20 years tell me that they've gone to a doctor and the doctor cured them, or the doctor healed them, or the doctor, set them free. I've never heard that. I'll tell you what I do hear. Oh, I got to see my doctor every 3 months. I got to go back and renew my prescriptions, next month. Oh, I gotta follow what the doctor's saying. Blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them, is it working for you? Are you getting any better? No, not really. In fact, I feel worse, but I keep going to them. Another oxymoron. Think about this. You go to a guy or a gal, they give you all kinds of crap to take. You're not getting any better. You keep getting worse, and you keep going back to them. Is that something? I mean, am I the dummy here? If I go to see somebody after 1 or 2 times and nothing's happening, and I've given it like a good 2-month ordeal, then it's time to change what I'm doing. But if they're giving me the same old stuff and it's not working, well, if it didn't work in the first 2 months, chances are it may not work at all. Think about that. And then you keep going back. Okay, I hear the music. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Till then, get together, brainstorm, cooperate. See you later, eh? Take care.